Hello, my friends. Have you ever gone silent when it mattered most? Walked away from a conversation saying, that's what I should have said? Or felt like your message got completely lost in translation? Well, you are not alone and you are in the right place. Welcome to Breaking Bad Communication, where we challenge the habits, headspace, and hangups that keep you from being heard. My name is Kathy Riley. I'm a communication strategist, founder of the Clarity Code, and your guide with over 25 years in the courtroom and 15 years as a speaker, trainer, and entrepreneur. This podcast is your real world playbook for mastering tough conversations, building unshakable confidence, and showing up with the kind of clarity that changes everything from boardrooms to break rooms to your own backyard. So if you're ready to ditch the second guessing and speak in a way that actually lands and builds trust, let's break bad together. And I'm super excited to have a special guest today, Mr. Nick Demos. This man is a Tony and Olivier Award-winning Broadway producer, award-winning documentary filmmaker, professional speaker, and internationally recognized story coach. He has produced hit musicals like Come From Away and Memphis, as well as acclaimed documentaries Body Electric and Invisible. As a keynote speaker, Nick shares insights on storytelling, authentic leadership, and creative impact, inspiring audiences to own their voice and share their message with confidence. Drawing from his background as a master yoga, pranayama, did I say that right?
You got it. You did it.
Yes. Okay, so that means he's a breath coach. He's an expert in breathing. He's also a meditation teacher. He brings a unique blend of artist mastery and spiritual wisdom to stages worldwide. Through his coaching, speaking, and productions, he helps people tell their soul stories, the narratives that move hearts, spark change, and leave a lasting impact. Yes, for everybody, shake their hands for Mr. Nick. Yes.
I love the jazz hands intro. Jazz hands.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited. So you and I met at a speaking conference. So we were learning how to be better speakers. We were hanging around with other expert speakers. And from the moment that I met you, I loved your energy. I loved everything about you. I was like, okay, you're my new best friend. So it was just, I'm like, you're my brother from another mother. What you talked about was so powerful. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I still believe most people are terrified of speaking. Most people feel really uncomfortable getting up on a stage in front of people and all of that. They're just, they get so challenged. What's one piece of advice you would give our audience? Because our audience, you guys listening, are not all professional speakers. So they're moms, they're dads, they're entrepreneurs, they're high schoolers. I've got some high schoolers listening. I know that. What's one piece of advice you would give our audience on overcoming that fear?
Speaking is practice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a doing exercise and a being exercise. And what I mean by that is start small. I think when we think of speaking, we think of somebody who's at a stadium. We think of, a huge stage with cameras and backdrop and thousands of people, when the reality is speaking now is on social media, on your camera. You've got a stage of people ready to listen to you at all times. So it's an incremental to get to the bigger stage, the next stage. And it takes practice and refining your message and refining what you want to say and getting more comfortable and confident. But that's all through the practice of being yourself, ultimately, because that's really what it is on stage. When people see somebody on a big stage, they go, gosh, that's amazing. But when we're most sort of impressed or most drawn in, it's when somebody's being their total authentic self on that big stage. So it's really this practice of being you.
Yeah. Practice brings progress.
Yes. Love that. Agreed.
I like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I often get that same question, and I just say, do it scared.
Hmm.
Right? You're never. I'm an introvert. I don't know if we talked to. Are you an introvert as well? I don't think you are, but are you an introvert?
No, I'm
No,
not an
not at all.
introvert.
So it's one of those things that you do it scared. It's part of being uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable.
Can I say that I'm always scared? Like
Ooh.
the next level is always fear, right? If I'm not at a fear place, then I'm not actually stepping into something greater. And so if I'm getting too comfortable at a certain stage, and this is like for life, but even on, on the actual stage, if I'm completely comfortable there, then I'm not stretching myself. So I ask myself, okay, what's my next step? What's my next stage so that I can be in a place of fear, so that I know that I am accomplishing something new, something that is going to dive into my soul and ask me to be greater than I currently am.
Oh, laying down the wisdom here. This is awesome because when you are in that place of comfort, you're not stretching, you're not growing.
Yeah. I liken this to in a yoga class. So when you're in a yoga class, at first, downward facing dog, if you've ever taken a yoga class, it's like one of the more basic postures, right? And at first, it's really freaking uncomfortable. I remember when Oprah Winfrey had her TV show and she was like
Uh-huh.
sharing yoga with the world. And she was saying, oh my gosh, this down dog is killing me. Like it was awful for her. And I remember when I first started practicing yoga, down dog was downright despicable. I just hated it. I hated being in that posture. But then over time, it became so comfortable that it became the resting pose. And
Ah.
and because I'm stretching myself, literally physically stretching myself, but emotionally and mentally stretching myself to the next level, the next layer, the next twist, the next turn, the next pretzel that I'm putting myself in that I have to learn to be comfortable in.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay, okay, okay. So, switching gears for just a hot minute. And I love what you bring to the table. Storytelling is your superpower. That is your superpower. What is one bad habit people make when telling stories? And and how do we break that bad habit? How do we make that shift?
You know, the number one mistake that I see people make is that they make this themselves the hero of the story when your audience is really the hero of the story. Even if the story is about you, how can you make it about your audience? How do you and it can be as simple as just asking a question at the top that has the word you in it. You is your friend because when people listen, the brain of a person telling a story and the brain of a person listening, they actually sync. It's called neurocoupling. There's been studies. Yuri Hassan did the study on it, and basically, it's the only way that this happens. The only way is through storytelling. So consequently, the more that you can make the story about the person that is listening to you, the more they take it on and the more they feel connected to you. So even if it is your story, positioning it in a way that makes them feel like they're the one that's taking the journey. They're the hero of the story. The second thing I would say is that using dialogue in story is so very, very important. And let me give you an example. Could
Please.
say, Kathy and I, we had a podcast interview today, and she asked me some really wonderful questions. And in the end, the audience hopefully got something out of it. Okay, that's me telling a story, right? But this is a better story. Kathy said to me, what's the best way to tell a story? Or what's the one mistake that you've never heard? And I said, blah, 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 blah. You lean more into dialogue. Without dialogue, a story is a book report. With dialogue,
Oh.
a story engages you because it engages you from all the senses, from sight, from sound, from taste, from touch, from smell.
Okay, my friends. Hear this again. If you just puke back a story, right? You don't do the dialogue. You don't allow your audience to get involved. You're just giving a book report.
And oftentimes we want to tell stories the way we read them. You can read something without dialogue for quite some time on a page. But if you're telling it verbally, that's not how we speak.
Yeah.
We speak through dialogue. So therefore, dialogue must be part of your storytelling equation.
Dialogue. Oh, that is so powerful. And being a performer, would you also professional performance, that's part of what you bring to the table. How, and I've seen this done, I've done it myself. I talk about it. How important is it to, like, as you're to the words are coming, the words are coming. How important would you say it is when you want to tell a great story where you really, really want to connect with your audience and get them to hear you? How important is it to incorporate dialogue and then maybe a different tone of voice or
Yeah.
changing your position so that the characters take on their own persona versus just you?
Yeah, the characters have to come to life, right? Ultimately. When I was 4 years old, my mother tells this story all the time that I would jump up onto the table and I would begin to recite the nursery rhymes. If you remember, like the old school nursery rhymes, and I would begin to embody the character. And she said, at first, everyone was like, "Oh, look how cute that is." She said, and then when I began to embody the character, that's when people would actually listen. And that's the difference, is that when you become that character, and it's subtle on stages, it's subtle, like more so than as an actor, right? But as a speaker, it's a subtle shift. But what happens is people lean in more because they go, "Oh, my ear has shifted because the tone of your voice has shifted. Physically, you've shifted. And so therefore, I'm going to lean in and listen to what you have to say at a deeper level."
Oh my gosh, so powerful. And I understand based on my back, how the brain works. Okay. So the brain, we think in pictures. So when we can bring a story to life, next thing you know, on a subconscious level, we're seeing it. We're there.
Yeah, the brain lights up, literally. It becomes more sensational. And so,
Yeah.
so consequently, we begin to picture the story in our mind. And that goes back to that neural coupling thing. If you can picture it, then you can sort of feel like you're living it. And so when you bring characters to the table, it feels like a living embodiment of the story.
So good. Oh my gosh. Are you guys really, this is so good. For those of you listening, I'm here to tell you this is excellent. This is such good advice. Such good information from Mr. Nick. And if you like what you hear here, right? I'm here to tell you that we are here, Breaking Bad Communication. We are here to make sure we give you information each and every week that pours into you. So please subscribe. You don't want to miss an episode. So let's switch gears just a tad bit here. So you talk about helping people find their soul stories.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what that is versus just a story or a safe story.
There's layers of storytelling, what I call the 5 layers of storytelling. And the first is the physical layer. Excuse me, the physical layer. There, I was tongue-tied. Physical layer, which is sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. All of what we think of as storytelling. The second is an energetic or an emotional storytelling, meaning what's the emotion of the story that you're telling? There's something that's a little deeper. At the third level is the mental level, which is the dialogue that we were talking about. What are the inner stories that you tell yourself and the outer stories that you communicate? The fourth level is a wisdom level. And that wisdom level is every story that you tell should have a golden nugget of wisdom. Every story needs to be like some big, massive thing, but what lesson are you teaching? True stories are a parable. They tell some sort of truth. And it doesn't need to be a massive one, but the soul stories, the level of a soul story is the fifth and final level and layer, which is the wisdom that is the universal truth. The universal truth story is one that is so deeply personal that it's that deeply universal. That's a Martin Scorsese quote, but it's been, many people have said it. It's something that we talk a lot about in storytelling, that the more personal, the more deeply universal. And so it's that soul level story is the story that only you can tell because it's your soul imprint. It's that story that's happened to you that only you can tell, that you can't put into ChatGPT, because ChatGPT loves to tell stories about Janice and Bob and whomever, right? They make up these stories. But this is a story that's about you, happened to you, and there's a lesson there for other people. That's actually the soul story. It's got to have a lesson that's deep and universal and true. And every single human on this planet has one of those stories to share.
Oh my God, I got goosebumps on that. Can you say that again, please, for this audience?
Every human on this planet has one of those stories to share. You have something that's deep and personal and truthful that can help somebody.
Absolutely. It was funny. I was attending a family reunion. It's a clam bake. Okay, so I'm from Ohio. There was about what, 60 of us descending upon Hinckley, Ohio, right? And we're hanging out. And I brought some of my books, and I was asked multiple times, how do you write a book? How do you tell your story? And I said, you all can have a book in you. You all have a story. And I got, no, I don't. I'm like, yes, you do. We all have stories. So on this note, for those people out there who thinking, okay, yes, I have, no, I don't have a story. What's one piece? Like, that's a bad mistake. That, talk about breaking bad communication. That's a bad habit, to tell yourself you don't have a story.
Yeah.
What's one piece of advice you give our audience right here for those that are listening and saying, I don't have a story?
I think that the fallacy, or the what people think that their story has to be, is that they had to have been homeless, drug addicted, had cancer. They think it has to be some crazy epic thing that's happened to them. And the reality is that more often we actually connect with the everyday story. What happened to you as a mom? What happened to you as somebody in the workforce in some shape or form? What lessons have you learned on the path? And I would say, if you want to begin to figure that out, figure out what is your soul story, begin writing from the lessons that you learned. What are the lessons that you've learned from childhood all the way through to however old you are? Take a sort of inventory of lessons of the path. What are some things that you now know that you didn't know 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and why? And then you begin to realize there's a pattern here, and you'll begin to see it. And you'll begin to say, oh, this led to that, which led to that, which led to that. Oh, now I understand why I had to go through X, Y, or Z. And it doesn't have to be something dramatic. It needs to be something real and something that we can connect to. Sometimes, in fact, those more out there stories, there's a distance almost for us, because we're like, I've never been homeless. I'm not sure I can relate to this. So if you have been homeless and that's the story you want to share, what's the more universal truth about being homeless? What is something that we can connect with about being homeless? We can all, for instance, and I'm not saying this is the story, but we could all connect to the idea of losing something, right? So it's really about finding what is that truth that's deeper underneath. So it doesn't need to be big. In fact, sometimes it's better if it's not.
Yeah. Oh, and it's funny. So the first thing that, as you were talking about that, the first thing, it's like homeless, no, but losing a job. Mm-hmm. That might have been the impetus to everything that happened, right? But how many of us have lost a job?
Most of us. At some point, right?
I've been fired, I've been riffed, I've been all of that.
Yeah. So there is that universal truth, and that's what you're really looking for in that fifth layer, is really finding that nugget, that that thing that we all can connect to.
The juiciness. I call it
That
juiciness.
exactly the
So
juicy,
juicy.
the nectar of the fruit.
Yes. Oh, we each and every one of us listening has a story. We all have a story. And it doesn't have to be big. In fact, the more commonplace, from what I hear you saying, I'm just putting it back out there in the universe. The more commonplace it is, the more apt we are to connect with other people.
Yeah, whether it's common or it's epic, it's how relatable is it?
Yeah. True. True. Oh, so good. Oh, I'm loving this conversation. Okay. I want to switch gears to something else because we talked about this. You're an expert in breath. And what was the word you called it?
Pranayama.
Pranayama. I love that word. I just learned about it. Tell us about that word first.
So pranayama is a Sanskrit word. Prana means energy, and yama means restraint, or so restraint of your energy. And there are many ways in which we gather energy in life: food, company of good people. There's so many, but chiefly, it's our breath. You can live without water for quite some time. You can live without food for quite some time. You can live without the company of great people for quite some time. What you cannot live without is your breath. The minute the breath is expelled from the body, you are gone from this plane anyway to wherever it is that we go after this. So that's how important the breath is. The breath is the life force behind every moment of your day. And the ancient yogis believed that if you took fewer breaths, you would live longer. And so they would restrain their breaths. And the interesting thing about that is that we take, on average, 21,600 breaths every single day, more than 15 every single minute, yet we do it unconsciously. So if you can bring some consciousness, some awareness to your breath, it can shift things. The reason the yogis were right about living longer life is that, of course, what is the number one cause of disease in the body? Stress. What can shift stress is management of your energy, of restraining, here we go, restraining your energy, which means deeper breathing. When you are in an accident, what's the first thing they say to you? Breathe.
Breathe.
Because you're holding your breath. You're holding everything. When we get stressed out, we go into fight or flight. And pranayama, the practice of breathing, the conscious awareness and practice of breathing, takes you out of fight or flight into a rest and digest state. And so when you can come out of that heightened state into a more relaxed state of being, that reduces that stress level in your life. That reduces susceptibility to disease in the body. And that's why breathing is so important. Now, for stages, for speaking,
Yeah.
who doesn't get nervous? Going back to that idea of fear, of course, I literally am putting myself into the next level of fear, which I think we should all do. But then I learned to navigate, to manage my nervous system by breathing. If I'm really, really nervous, I come out onto stage. I think you're going to appreciate this, Kathy. And I turn to the audience and I say, let's take a deep breath together. And I have the entire audience take a breath with me. And I say, thank you, I needed that. And then people will laugh.
Yeah.
Because I also am acknowledging the fact that I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Rather than being like up here and like, right? No, I'm just like, okay, can we all just take a breath together? And we do. And then I might say something like, you're taking 21,600 of those every single day, right? Just to sort of connect it. But the point being is, it's actually for me. Before I come out onto stage, and the bigger the stage, of course, the more that this all comes up. My body goes into fight or flight because it doesn't feel safe. But by breathing, it brings me back into my body, back to presence, back to being me, being that authentic version of myself that I want to bring out to audiences.
I love it. And if we apply this to not just stages, but everyday conversations, meaning when we're triggered, we're stressed out, we're
Yeah.
anxious in a conversation, we can re-regulate our body or regulate or, whatever that word is, which I'm lacking at the moment.
You're right. Regulation.
And we can just by taking a deep breath. I love the box breathing one.
Yeah.
The 4-4-4, but you can't always do that during a conversation. So it might just be a deep breath in and out.
Yeah. Because one breath can change your life. And what I mean by that
Ooh. Say that
is
again.
one breath can change your life. And what I mean by that is it's really the pause that shifts everything. One breath can take you from being in that fight or flight position and being a fighter and saying something in regular communication every day that you don't actually really want to say, that can shift so many things in a ripple effect, versus you taking a deep breath. Because what that deep breath does is it creates the space for your brain to reprocess so that you don't say something that you regret and that could then change your life.
Oh, listen to this, my friends. That breath creates the space for your brain to process before you actually speak and respond. Love that. Oh my God. Oh my God. We could talk about this so much. Oh, but I want to talk about one other thing before we have to wrap this up. Okay. So we were talking earlier, before we actually started recording, about thought leadership and being leadership. And it was so good. Explain to me your thoughts on the differences and how we are moving into the one versus the other.
Yeah. So thought leadership in my mind is dead. It's over. And that's such a bold statement to make, but here's why. Thought leadership is when an expert, an authority, an entrepreneur, when they influence others with the insights. But those insights are information based. And we are moving out of the information age because information is now at a press of one button. With ChatGPT, with AI, with all the variations of that, we can get information on absolutely everything at absolutely any time. So you no longer need an expert to filter that information for you because your expert, the new thought leader, is ChatGPT, right? You got that at all moments. So we're moving out of the information age into a new age. And that is the age of beingness. What I mean by that is who you are and the stories you tell is the new economic currency. It's what's going to connect us because the more that we go into and we lean into technology, the more human and real people want us to be, so that we know what is actually real, what is actually human, and who you are being, how you are, how you walk in the world, and you connecting to those soul stories that we were talking about and sharing them is going to be the new economic currency.
Ah, mic drop. I love that. So powerful. I mean, like I was talking earlier, it's like the difference between knowledge, knowing something, information, right, and wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually applied understanding. And we can read, we can hear all of that, but we don't really know until we know. And we do that by building that trust with each other as humans.
Yeah, and the irony is we're coming back full circle because the first quote unquote thought leaders were people that sat around in caves around a fire. And those that told the best stories were the leaders of the community. Now, those stories were about food, ultimately, like the hunt. In many ways, they would go off and hunt and they would come back and they would tell these stories of why they were having dinner or why they weren't, right? Like that's really, it was that basic. But that idea of that connection through storytelling, through truth telling, through who you are is really full circle. It's back to ancient wisdom in many ways because of this information being so everywhere all the time.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. All right. All right. So if you guys, for all those listening today, how can people find you? Because I mean, you're just a genius on that whole between storytelling and breath work and presence and all of that. How can our listeners find you?
So you can follow me at the Nick Demas, the like the Nick Demas, because get this, it was already taken, believe it or not. Yeah. So rude, so rude. And the
So
story,
rude.
well, it goes like this. I went to get the website, right? Like, who's going to have this name? Nobody. I go to get the website and it was already taken. So I called the person. I said, hey, I see you're not using it. Would you be willing to, to help my business? And they said, no, it's for my unborn child.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
20 years later, it's still sitting there. But whatever. They never ended up,
They never had that
they
child.
never had that child. But consequently, I was like, okay, then I'm the Nick Demas. So you can reach me at thenickdemas.com or the Nick Demas on LinkedIn and Instagram and YouTube.
Fantastic. And for those of you that are driving, keep your two hands on the wheels, and I will put all of the information in the notes of this so you can just click on that link when you are in a safe space, and we will get that to you. Okay. So now I would like to ask you just a couple questions just so we get to know you a little bit more personally. These are kind of fun. So would you say you are a morning or a night person?
Oh gosh. Okay, so I was in the theater for years and years and years, right? My entire life was theater based. And so when I was an actor, when I was a dancer during that period, I was a night owl. I wouldn't go to, I mean, because you're working at night. A show doesn't,
Right.
your work day is, in the afternoon through late evening till 11 o'clock at
Yeah.
night. And then, of course, you get home and you're wired after work, right?
Yes.
And you usually have to eat because you're hungry because you've done a whole show. So you're not going to bed till 2 or 3 in the morning. So for years and years and years, I was a night owl. And then when I stopped being an actor and I stopped working in the theater every single day, my whole life had to shift. But what I found is I love the morning. And I didn't realize that it was even possible to be a morning person.
Yeah, I'm a morning person too. I like, your brain, I don't know what, my brain is just
And
loves the
I
morning.
do a morning practice, what's called a sadhana, which sadhana
Ooh,
it's given to you by a spiritual teacher. It's called Song of the my teacher calls it the Song of Your Soul. That you sit and you breathe, and these practices that we talked about, and maybe some yoga and writing or whatever it is that really feeds your soul, so that it sets you up for the day that you want to have. Versus like, getting on your phone and maybe drinking coffee and like running around and getting triggered by what's going on in the news. And, so that you really like come back to who you are first and foremost.
oh, I love that. The morning sets the tone for your entire day,
Yeah.
your week, your month, your year, all of that. So I love that. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about food. Would you say you are a sweet or a salty?
What is my problem? I'm like, yes, and because I definitely love sweets. There's no question about it. I'm like, my day is not happy if I don't have a baked good. It's like the one
Ah,
indulgence that I allow myself every single day is some form of baked something, whether that's a cookie, a muffin, a croissant, a donut. I don't really care, but some sort of baked something. But then if it's got a little salt on it, I'm even more thrilled. Like that salty sweet, like, thing.
yeah.
But,
So I make a little homemade chocolates,
ooh,
especially around Easter, and I'll do the caramel and I'll put a little bit of salt on it, and those
hmm
are a big hit. I don't eat a lot of sugar, but everybody loves them.
I wish I could say I
So,
didn't eat a lot of sugar, but it is a complete and total vice. At one point, I decided I was going to go off sugar, and I left it that and caffeine at the same time. And my husband said, "Please stop. You're killing me, not you."
we all have to live with you. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right. So, if you were to have a glorious dinner, would it be home cooked meal, or would it be out at a restaurant?
It would be at a restaurant.
Be at a
I am
restaurant.
I'm a terrible cook. Terrible. My husband's actually a wonderful cook, but I am a terrible cook. And so it would definitely be at a James Beard award-winning restaurant somewhere in some fabulous city. That would be my idea of, you know, delight.
Got it. All right, last one on food. So if you were to go to something like a comfort, if you wanted something that just relaxes your soul, would you eat it or drink it?
Oh, eat it. Eat
Eat
it.
it?
Yes,
Okay.
I would definitely eat it.
I'm a drink kind of girl. I like, whether it be a cup of tea or a glass of wine.
Well,
Um,
I mean, again, do I have to, is the world binary? Can I say yeah, martini and fried chicken? Like, do I have to?
well, guess I should have said this first. Don't overthink. Just the first thing that pops in your mind. Oh, you're killing me. This is awesome. Okay, this one, well, this should be easy. Would you say beach or mountains?
No, this one is easy. Uh,
Okay,
Beach.
beach.
Beach. I am a beach bum. I like the beach. I can't wait. I'm going to Mexico in a couple weeks. I'm going to the beach. Like that is my idea
Nice.
of rest and relaxation. The mountains make me itchy.
I guess you can't come visit me then.
I grew up in Montana, and I think that that's probably why, like where you grow up, you're like, I got to get away from there. And the furthest thing away from the mountains of Montana is a beach. So that was like, get me to the beach.
That's, I feel you. I feel you because I'm from Ohio and I live in Colorado now. So Ohio, I love, and it's the Ohio State, by the way. And if I go back there, but I'm like, I'm ready to leave. I mean, I love being there, but only a short period of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So, reading a book, is it paper or Kindle?
Paper.
Paper.
I'm old school.
Or, I love it. Yeah, I get that. I'm a little bit of both. But I've always got like 10 books going at the same time, so you just never know with me. Now, if you were to be entertained, would it be a movie or would it be like a series?
I tend to be a series person now. I think that like that has really shifted over the last, 10 years as entertainment has shifted so dramatically. But I'm a series person. I like to follow along, and okay, guilty pleasure here. I
Uh-huh.
have I have watched, speaking of a series, General Hospital for like 40 years. I still watch it. It's like I still watch it. I believe people are like it's still
It's
on.
still go. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, 60 years. And I've been watching 40 of them. So there you go.
Wow, I remember in college working my schedule around that
Well,
so that we could
I
watch
have a
it.
DVR, so I don't have to now.
Yeah, right? We all have that. So that's awesome. I never thought I'd have 20 years to catch up, so I would never know. It's probably the same, still
It'd
the
probably
same
take you a
people.
week.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so knowing who you are, hopefully you already know the answer to this, but have you ever seen the movie Zoolander?
Yes, I've seen
Okay.
Zoolander.
So the characters in Zoolander always have a walk-on song. So
Hmm.
whenever like they're walking into a scene, right? It's like, and the same can be true for when you take stage. I also like to tell, my clients or people like it boosts your confidence. Like when you just have a walk-on song when you enter a room. My husband jokes that he has a walk-on song whenever he walks into a room. And so what is your walk-on song for either stage or for when you're just feeling sassy?
It's funny because I've gone through several walk-on songs, like for
Uh-huh.
stage. I've tried a few different things out, but I always come back to something that I can dance to. And the reason for that, in my youth, I was a backup dancer, like for Aretha Franklin and like some like pretty heavy hitters. And so Stacey Peniston, finally, it's happened to me. Like
Yeah.
I've like I have to have something that I can dance to. And that's really whatever it is of the moment, whatever is the hot song of the moment is what I'm going to dance to and what I'm going to be as my walk on song. Because it's not a walk on, it's a dance on.
It's a well, and you've got skills to do that. Like I don't
Yes.
recommend everybody to do that, including me, who's got, I'm really good at falling forward, literally. But then I always jump up saying, Okay.
Well, it's also sometimes one of the reasons why I have to say, let's take a deep breath at the top of my talk is because I've danced on and I'm out of breath.
I love it. Oh, Nick, I absolutely love spending time with you. I know our audience did too. Please, you guys, find him, follow him, stalk him. I love friendly stalkers. I say that to people often. So thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you, Kathy, for having me. I know what it means to bring people in front of your audience, and it's always it's such an honor to have been a part of your show. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. We are truly honored. And thank you guys for tuning in to Breaking Bad Communication. If today's episode sparked a new perspective or gave you a tool you can actually use, then that's the kind of conversation we love. Remember, powerful communication isn't about saying more, it's about saying what matters with confidence, clarity, and purpose. Now, if you're ready to speak up, stand out, and lead with your voice, I am here for you, and we are here for you. Be sure to share or leave a review if this hits home. And until next time, keep showing up, keep speaking up, and let's keep breaking bad together. Peace out.